So now I want you to understand, right? Let's get a little bit more granular, right? Because when you think about life's problems, death is a problem and sin is the cause. But now in between, there's all other sorts of things that have come to life because of the problems that life presents. And guess what? The reality is the gospel, when we truly understand the gospel solves all these problems. They solve all of them, right? But let's get granular and think more in depth, right? And if you can think of any problem, I want you to just put whatever problem you can think of that life presents, just put it in the chat, right? Just put it in the chat, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're watching on Facebook, just put it in the chat, right? What are some problems that you can think about? I'm not even asking you to say, what are problems that the gospel solves? I'm just asking you, what are life problems? What are problems that are presented to humanity in life? Because the reality is the gospel solves those problems. The gospel solves life's problems. You don't even have to tell me the problems that gospel solves, because it solves every problem, right? When we truly understand it. But let's get granular. Lack of nutrition is a problem, right? It's a problem that the gospel solves. Think about it. When the gospel completes its work, when the gospel is finished and done, will there be lack of nutrition? No, we're told, matter of fact, in Revelation, that the leaves of the nations will be for the healing of the people. That we're gonna be able to eat of the 12 manner of fruits that come from the tree of life. That lack of nutrition will no longer be a problem when the gospel is done, right? But lack of nutrition is a problem that life presents. What about poverty, right? Poverty is a problem of life. It's presented to us in life. There are many people who are in poverty, right? But will the gospel solve that? Oh, matter of fact, Jesus tells us that he has already prepared mansions for us, for every single person who desires to have one. He has it for it. Poverty would be done away. There would be no more need, right? No more lack. Oh, obesity, which is an issue of health, right, is a problem. But guess what? God will have everyone in perfect health, right, when the gospel completes its work. We're told in 1 Corinthians 15 that we're going to receive new glorified bodies, right? So the gospel solves that problem. You talk about hair loss or whatever you can think about, right? These are all problems of life. And the gospel solves every single one of them. But why, Lionel, you still haven't told me how the gospel teaches, right? How the gospel teaches businesses. No, I actually have told you what the gospel teaches businesses. What the gospel is teaching us is that, let me say it this way. The bigger the problem we solve is the greater the value we have. The bigger the problem we solve is the greater the value we have, right? Your product, your service, right? Your business, whatever it does, it is valuable depending upon the problem that it solves. This is what makes the gospel so valuable. This is what makes the blood of Jesus so valuable, is because of the problem. It's the gospel. Christ's blood literally solves every single problem you can think of. That's why it's so valuable. That's why it is the most valuable. But now, in your work that God has given you specifically, your product, your service, you have to ask yourself the question, what problem does my business solve? And the bigger the problem, the bigger the value. The smaller the problem, the smaller the value. But the reality is, life has so many problems for us to solve. The reality is, pick one, choose one, and determine what are you going to solve. For example, we talked about the lack of nutrition, the end result. And this is why every true business is a gospel business. It's a gospel business. Every true entrepreneur is a biblical entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs solve problems, right?